with me Dr. Atish Chattopadhyay. He is the director of IMT Ghaziabad, the well-known brand in management education. Thank you, Dr. Chattopadhyay, first of all, for joining us.
Thank you, Rohil, for coming here. It's a pleasure.
Let me touch upon the key points that management education is going through, especially when we talk about globalizing the Indian management education. What, according to you, are the barriers that are not letting our management institution become truly global?
The first barrier is the fact that we have a demographic dividend. So, unlike the institutions in the West, we have got a large application pool if you look at the top institutions, and hence there is no as such push to in terms of attract students from other countries. That is number one. Two, there is also not too much of incentive in terms of attracting global faculty. Now, and the third fact is that there are challenges in terms of the leadership stability in India. If you look at Harvard Business School, in its 100 and almost 17 years of journey, there are only 11 deans. Okay. India, the deans keeps on changing, it's a rotation. So, I mean, if you just are taking a view which is not so long term, because these things are developmental and it takes lot of time to fructify. I think we don't give that time, and we have not attempted to attract global students from other countries or to attract global faculty on a full-time role, though we have got visiting international faculty, but not
on the roles, right. And also maybe we are becoming too obsessed with looking inwards. We have so much to do, right, that we don't have enough time to look outside, right?
However, that is changing. Okay, if I go back, say in 2010, when I used to go to these forums, like AASSB or EQUIS or GMAC, hardly I used to see any other Indian deans. Okay, and today we have got the Indian deans being part of these forums. The number of institutions which are accredited today by AASSB is around, I think, 27. There are quite a few which are accredited by EQUIS, almost 40 plus are on their way, and 14 are in the global FT rankings. So, that part is changing. However, when it comes to attracting international students in B schools as full-time students, we might be getting exchange students, I think we have not done enough, and I will tell you why. Okay. See, when I go to any of these conferences, what I see is that the group comes together. So, there is a European deans who come together, there is a Australian deans who come together, there are American deans who come together. So, they all work in a group, and whenever there is a tour like an GMAC tour or a QS tour, so I find that those institutions actually participate in a group and create an impact for that country or that region. As far as India is concerned, I think that part is missing. We are fragmented.
We are fragmented, right. You have also worked across prestigious institutions and also built their curriculum programs from the scratch. Tell me, how has your entrepreneurial experience shaped your leadership approach in academics?
See, I think that one of the good things about being a faculty is that you are independent. Okay, that's what we call the faculty freedom. Okay, which means that it is assumed that if a faculty is an institution by himself or herself, which means a faculty needs to be an entrepreneur. You need to generate your own research funding, which happens in most of the top schools. Like all the tenured faculty, they will have their own labs. There will be centers which will be named. Okay, which means there is a inherently a faculty needs to be an entrepreneur. Okay, and if you look at good business schools, faculty are deeply engaged with the industry in terms of research, in terms of consulting, in terms of education, and even in terms of creating their own startups or maintaining startups with a skin in the game. I think that is something which has started happening in the IITs. Okay. But in the business school space, that is yet to happen, and I sincerely feel that we need faculty with an entrepreneurial orientation. And if I have to look at my own journey, I think this is what I would like my faculty to really work on. Okay. Why is it that we are not creating a Professor Jagdish Sheth or a Parasuraman or a C.K. Prahlad from India? I think the next Jagdish Sheth, C.K. Prahlad has to come from the Indian business schools, and we need to facilitate that.
Right. It's also said by many critics and the practitioners in the market that management education has become too theoretical at times. It is not in tune with the ground practices. How are you bridging that gap at IMT?
See, IMT was started by an industrialist, Sri Mahendranath. Okay, and the idea was to create a school which will be more close to the industry and will be able to impact the society. That's what was the purpose or the genesis of the institution. I think that part is quite well bridged in the sense that the faculty here works closely with the industry. There is a lot of impetus to actually work with industry on projects for the students, and if you look at it, right behind is the Center for financial markets. Okay, and I think we were one of the first ones to create a 32 terminal Bloomberg lab way back in 2016, and today as we speak we have now taken a space in one BKC, okay, which is the heart of India's commercial capital in Mumbai, okay, where we would like to take our students to get exposed to the financial markets. We are already tied up with the National Institute of Securities Market, and that provides not just an exposure. You can work on the lab, that is one part, but those interactions and being there also allows our learners to pick up the language system, which is important. And the faculty here is a combination of practice and academic. If I look at for example, my head of the Center of Financial Markets, he was with the banking industry for a very long time in a senior position, and then did his PhD and came to academia. So I think this combination of practice and academic is what will really bridge the gap.
Right. See, the pressure on private management schools is to produce brains who understand businesses, but business itself is changing and becoming more value driven in the market. In this changing scenario, how are you redesigning your approach to curriculum and make them conscious leaders who understand values, sustainability, being an empathetic leader, all of those things?
See, if we look at it, that the reason why IMT started in Ghaziabad way back in the 1980s is because it provided the social context. 45 years back, Ghaziabad was not the same what you see it today. Okay. So, we are in that intersection where the urban meets the rural, that is number one. And social responsibility and sustainability is part of our mission. And we have got initiatives like the sustainability and social responsibility, where our students actually work with the community to understand how people who are unlike them live, because that is important, because that is what touches their feeling. See, Gautam Buddha, became Buddha from Siddhartha because he went around the city and saw the sufferings, which impacted the feeling. The feeling impacted the being, and that's what led to him towards that goal of knowing, and finally he became Bodhi. So, a lot of times we say that knowledge needs to doing, knowing leads to doing. But if you look at this classical case of Lord Buddha, it is a feeling which impacted being, and being impacted doing, and doing impacted knowing. So it's a very different cycle, and we want our students to get exposed to the society in a manner where their feelings are impacted. And if the feelings are impacted, the being gets impacted, and the values are developed. It's not a theoretical input, but it has to be experienced, and it has to be experiential. I think our interventions are more experiential.
Dr. Chattopadhyay, your research on shopper marketing has been widely referenced. According to you, what is the most misunderstood behavior as far as Indian consumers today are concerned?
See, the term that you used just now, Indian consumer, is itself is a term which is which is, I would say, not something to be used, because there is nothing called an Indian consumer. Because consumers in India differ with respect to, region, with respect to culture. So there's a variety of consumers. So there's a huge variety. And to create an archetype saying this is the Indian consumer is very difficult to say. For example, just giving you an example, that you see the Indian consumer, the way we want to probably define is that this is one archetype. I think to put them in one block as an Indian consumer may not be the right thing to do, because the consumers differ very widely as far as this country is concerned.
I think every 5 kilometers you have a different metric, right?
You just imagine, I was coming to office and there was a bullock cart overtaking my car on the highway. So here is a place, where the bullock cart and the high-end sedan go side by side. And while somebody will be very happy to own a premium sedan, there will be somebody else who will be very happy to pay 40 lakhs for a buffalo. So are the two consumers same? So Indian consumers is something which, you know, will not fit into any one block.
So, from a industry perspective, broader expert perspective, what are the big challenges overall in the management education ecosystem?
The first biggest challenge to my mind is this craving for ranking. Okay, and I think this ranking game is one of the things which are probably doing a disservice to business education. Okay, I find that some institutions celebrating after some XYZ ranking, I don't want to name. Okay. Now, what is the relationship between the ranking and the student choice? What is the relationship between the recruiter's choice and the ranking? Okay. However, there is a lot of pressure on the business schools, whether it is the leadership or the faculty, to run that race for ranking. And that is where somewhere we are like, I am reminded of that story of, you know, Mullah Nasiruddin, okay, because he was searching his ring, okay, and somebody asked that, what are you searching for? He said that I am searching for the ring. Then the next question was, why are you searching here? He said, because there is light. Where you dropped it, it was inside. Okay. So the question is, we are, as in ranking, trying to measure which is easy to measure, metrics which are easy to measure. You say 99 percentile plus means, okay, you have got a good input. But you know, what is the value add that you have done? So many publications means great. We are today in a race for you know, publication by the faculty. I don't know whether there's how much relevance it has got with practice. So I think that institutions have got into the race for rankings, and somewhere we have started also aping the West, whereas we are 1/5 of the Indians, the world's population. And if you look at just Uttar Pradesh, if Uttar Pradesh would have been a country, this would have been the 6th largest country of the world. Okay. However, we are not creating our own standards. We have started doing things which the West values. We have followed the Australian Business Deans Council. Why can't we create our Indian Business Deans Council? And why should, I know it's such a great thing that we have got so many IIMs in so many parts of the country, okay. But the point is, what is more relevant? For a faculty in Sambalpur to work with the viewers to make the Sambalpur sari brand global, or to publish in a FT50 journal, which is valued for ranking. I think at some point in time, these issues needs to be addressed, and that is the biggest challenge for Indian business education. Our faculty are good, our students are good, but we are chasing the wrong metrics.
Right. My final two questions. One is about technology, especially AI, which has entered the campuses now. How are you dealing with its onslaught and ensuring that it does not interrupt the human offering in terms of education as far as management schools are concerned?
See, you know, when computers came, and I am from Calcutta in the 80s, okay, there was a, you know, the computers were not allowed to be offloaded in Khidirpur dock, because that will eat away all the jobs. That was the, you know, assumption. Okay. Similarly, when Google came, okay, people said that everything is available on Google. Okay. Now AI has come. Okay. So technology evolved, all these things will be there. But tell me, okay, everything is available, and people, you know, everybody is predicting that, you know, the faculty will not be required and all that. Now everybody knows the Ramayana story. correct? But still you view Ramanand Sagar's Ramayana on television, okay? Why? Because that itself, the narration provides a different perspective and insight. So the story remains the same, the Ramayana is the Ramayana, okay? But the narrator or the storyteller makes it interesting, and that is why, the audience is there, correct? So while AI will be, there, the importance of the faculty and the human interface will remain as important as before, because if you are looking about skills like judgment, skills like decision making, I think human will be important, and the human intervention in terms of those interactions will remain as relevant as ever before.
Finally, if you have to propose one policy reform that can take our management education to next level, what would that be?
See, I have visited many other countries across the globe as a faculty, as a member of the peer review team for international accrediting agencies. One of the biggest thing that is required is the allowing, in terms of an intervention, and that should be a governmental intervention, a way in which we can attract globally trained faculty to come and work with freedom, to provide them the context where they can have the same kind of an environment which they enjoy elsewhere. Now, what can make that happen? Which means it requires funding, okay? And if we look at the endowment base of just Harvard, it is $55 billion. Our total higher education budget of India is $5 billion, okay? Which means we will not be able to do it until and unless we have endowment from the industry, because ultimately industry is the biggest user of the talent, correct? Now, the government needs to facilitate in some kind of policy measure that, whether it is exemption or incentivization, that if you put endowment to institutions and maybe some category of institutions, the industry will have certain incentive. So, how the government can facilitate endowment by the industry to the institutions, okay, is something which the policymakers will need to think about, because until and unless there is endowment, there is funding, we will get being good, but we will not be able to that cutting edge research which produces a Google or an Apple or the metas of the world.
Thank you, Dr. Chattopadhyay, for sharing your thoughts and taking us through these burning topics that are happening in this space. It's always a pleasure, listening, hearing about things. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much. Thank you.